Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, home of the BitSquad, the largest and greatest crypto community in all of the interwebs. Welcome to the Friday edition of Around the Blockchain. We're going to be Monday through Friday, 5:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about your favorite topics, the hottest topics, with your favorite guests. Some say the hottest guests. We're going to go and start on the top right. He was just in the studio earlier in the week, Sin City Crypto. Thanks for coming by. And yes, I'll try. You did bribe me, but
you taught me everything I know.
We'll see if you win. Then on the bottom right, we have MINEYOURBIZ coming from the galactic expanse. Hey, we got some really good questions. We're going to be talking about Cardano, what's going on. We're going to want to hear what this man says. Then on the bottom left, his screen's blue, his background's blue, but he's feeling good. Even though the markets are red, it is Johnny Hopper. Actually, he looks like maybe he had a long open. I'm kidding. And then on the top left, sitting at my desk with the sun shining in his eyes. Will he get sunburnt? Stay tuned to find out by the end of the episode. It is Crypto Taco, and we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin price. What is going on? Is it the miners' fault? We're going to try to break down. Then the Cardano testnet. Some are saying it's a catastrophic failure. Some are saying it's not that big a deal. Maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle. We're going to find out. And then Bored Ape Yacht Club having a liquidity crisis. There's a loaning NFT DAO out there, and there's a lot of apes about to hit the market. What is this going to mean? Is this the death of Bored Ape? But before we do, let's look at the crypto markets. And if you woke up like me, you said, what the heck is going on? The markets are decidedly in the red. We have Bitcoin down about 9%, Ethereum down about 10%. I was looking at the top gainers. I was looking at the top losers. There's not much good news. If we look, there's basically two alts kind of in there. We have Gnosis and Trust Wallet Token. Then you look at the losers. Filecoin leading the way, down 18%. Steppin', I'm sorry, all you steppers, way down. Flow, Nearcoin, ApeCoin, maybe DC's going to come in. I haven't DCA'd yet, but a lot of bloody action here. Sin City, I'm going to bring it to you first. Markets are tanking. There's a lot of people saying, I think it's because of this. I think it's because of that. What is your 2 cents on, what is the major catalyst that just brought down this recent price crash?
Well, I think it's many factors going on here. So we've been over $20,000 on Bitcoin for over a month now, and we've seen higher highs and higher lows during the last 4 weeks. And so I do think it's a natural pullback. We have massive support at 20,000. It has been an area of support / resistance for well over a year, and not to mention big psychological number. And so I do think that we're not going to be trading under $20,000 for any significant portion of time, at least over the weekend. And then maybe next week we can be testing perhaps, the 19s or 18s. But, there is a lot going on the global macro factors. I mean, the NASDAQ was down 2% earlier today. Wall Street is down. The DXY, the dollar cost index, is way up. So basically, the dollar's worth a lot, but everything else is straight trash, or it's at least overinflated more than the dollar is. And the dollar's already inflated to a crazy amount. We've seen over 10% inflation in England, and it's expected to get worse, as high as 12 or 13% is numbers that major banks are forecasting in the EU. Not to mention, what's going on in Ukraine. It might not be front and center on the major news channels, but that is still an active war going on, and there is tons of trade implications that are affecting the global macro sense. And we are starting to see that the implications of the Fed interest rate hikes are starting to play through the system. And, everyone expected that, hey, they're going to raise interest rates. It's going to automatically and immediately affect corporate and stock prices and the economy, but this takes time for it to play through. We're starting to see that in the housing market now. The housing market is starting to slow down, and you got to think, when the housing market demand dries up, basically construction dries up, lots of jobs dry up as well. And so you're seeing a cascading effect of just basically the economy slowing down, and we're seeing it abroad, and we're seeing it here at home as well.
All right, I want to talk about cascading effects. No, not Magic the Gathering, BJ. MINEYOURBIZ, I want to talk about that cascading amount of selling here. I have this chart here, and it's showing 2 lines. One, it's the price of Bitcoin. I think he does this on purpose. We have two lines showing no, not the catwalk line. The line of price here, you can see is the black line. This is Bitcoin's price. And then we have the blue line, and this is the amount of Bitcoin that miners are holding on to. You can see it on the left, around between 1.85 and 1.866 million here. You can see leading up as the price went up, they started dumping higher and higher amounts. Is this a metric that you would expect, mind your business? Do you expect this to maybe even out, bounce, maybe find a level at those July lows? Or could this be a cascading event where maybe they even sell at a loss? Because correct me if I'm wrong, it's currently roughly 14K to mine a Bitcoin. So what are we looking at as far as the selling pressure? Is this accelerating, or maybe is the worst behind us?
Well, I appreciate the question, DZ. First off, thanks for having me back on the channel. Always great to be with the BitSquad. This community is just amazing. The fact that people are tuned in right now means that you're serious about handling all of the weird things that are happening in the markets right now. So first off, gotta show gratitude for that. Appreciate being here with a great panel. Some new friends, right? Always some phenomenal thinkers. So let me add some counterpoint to what's been said so far. What Sin City Crypto is talking about as far as there being so many macro factors, so many like multivariate considerations in these markets is true for miners as well. Oftentimes miners are created, turned into sort of a caricature of like, oh yeah, they will, they'll mine, they'll hold on, they create constant selling pressure, they create unnatural selling pressure. No, all of that was priced in by Satoshi as early as 2008, 2009. But the current environment of seeing this little cascade with miners selling, I think possibly one of the influences, one of the factors that goes into it that we're not paying attention to right now is the fact that, Three Arrows Capital basically betrayed its fiduciaries. And there was that cascading effect of so many institutional lenders like Celsius right now, who a lot of miners were relying on to be able to take loans against their Bitcoin. And they thought decrease that selling pressure on Bitcoin in the markets, but just use what they were mining as collateral to be able to take out fiat currency to maintain their operation, right? Pay for their operating expense, pay for new gear, and basically just run their businesses without having to sell down the price of Bitcoin at all. So I think it's more complex than there just being like, a July low of miners selling versus the current environment of miners selling, because in that time we saw the full expression of that sort of Celsius, messing the bed. So I think that there's a lot more that goes into the current situation with miners selling than just the price of Bitcoin. But it is a proper indicator of whether or not there is profit to be taken. Miners do tend to be able to front run the market very, very well because they have to forecast some of these things. Historically, they've needed to forecast the price of Bitcoin and the best possible time to liquidate in order to maintain operations. So I think they're back to their old habits, the old cycles. But I think in part, the unseen hand, DZ, is, these lenders just not being there to support them, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah, I would agree with that. Now, speaking of forecasting, let's go to the guy with the name most like a meteorologist, and that is Johnny Hopper. You can see him, pointing to lightning bolts over his left shoulder every now and then. But I wanted to ask you, do you agree with the narrative that there's going to be a lot of volatility going into the elections? We are not that far away, Johnny. I think we're about 2.5 months away. We're going to have major elections in this country. Do you think volatility is going to increase leading up to the election? And if so, what direction do you think generally we're going to be heading in?
DZ, thank you for having me on the show. And sorry, I think I was having some major connection issues there. It was almost like I was on the Cardano blockchain.
Well, they knew I was going to ask about the election, so they took your connection, and that's the misdirection. But go ahead. This is your section.
Crypto, it has always been incredibly volatile, but with more money, it kind of follows the stock market more closely now, but just to an extreme. And yeah, there's always a little bit of volatility when it comes around even midterms, because I think there's probably going to be a pump, really, because what our administration needs is they need some good news. And so what better news for people than there is to be making money? It makes you look like you're doing something correct, as opposed to inflation going out of control, jobs, not many people working, and, interest rates are going through the roof. people don't have that much money left over, so it'd be nice to have their bags start making something too. So I would say yes. And if I had to guess, I would say that they were going to try to do whatever they can to PR it to where the S&P 500 is moving up and then Bitcoin follows.
All right. I think I would agree. I think the powers that be might put their hand on that scale just a little. We're going to see what happens, though. All right. Now, Taco, those who don't know, I was actually making fun of your lines earlier this morning. You had a chart up. You had your little channel. It broke your channel. And Bitcoin, this recent crash, there was a few lines you had to delete. There's a few levels of support. It broke through. It smashed through. What are some of the new updated Taco levels? I know you're sitting at my desk right now, so maybe you can't share your screen, but it's all Cardano charts on my computer. But what are some of the number levels? Are you looking at, we're going to crash through 20? Are you looking that we're going to retest some of the lows? What's the straight cheese from Taco here?
All right. Thanks, BitSquad. Thanks, DZ. Everyone. It's great to be on ATB on this beautiful Friday as the sun is blinding me, but it's okay. Let me see if I could share my screen.
Oh, God, you already had it.
All right.
You're sneaky.
Yeah.
I'll be opening my MetaMask now.
I drained your MetaMask, and then I redrew lines on your chart here. So, I just want to go over the Fibonacci real quick from back in, when was this? It was like December of 2017. We had an all-time high. I dragged it to the low, and it's amazing how right there is the top of the fib level, and it literally hits it. And then I kind of just drew another one here from the high to the low, and just drew some channels in here. And it's pretty crazy how Bitcoin does this. So if I take this measured move and I put it right here, pretty much right on the dot, right on that level that broke out of this uprising channel. And then down here, same thing. We broke out, but we haven't broken out yet. But if we do, I could see this getting down to about this line here, 15.
What is that that line of support? What number are we looking at for Bitcoin there? It's a little small. The bottom of that channel, what's that line of support at?
Is that a little better?
Ooh, yeah, that wicked really close too.
Yeah, so we got that low of 17,619. I could see that being the first line of defense right at the bottom here. But if we break that, like I said, the measured move, let's say we break out right there, it brings us down to around 15,780. And then if you go all the way back to freaking about 2019, it's almost right on that level, maybe like $100 different. So I could see that being maybe some support down there. But if we break that, like everyone in crypto is saying, 10K, we could even get down to like 8K, 9K. So those are kind of the levels I'm looking at right now, but we're still in this channel. So as long as we stay in this channel, I think we're going to be okay for the time being, but I'm going to be looking at that over the weekend.
Okay, and speaking of channel, thanks for watching this channel, this YouTube channel. Make sure you're subbed to all the other channels. And hit that sub button if you're not. Hit that like button on this video right now. Just go ahead and do it right now. We'll wait 2 seconds. Okay, it didn't cost you anything. Thank you very much. Yeah, hit that thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up. All right, let's talk a little Cardano testnet. Mind your biz. I'm probably going to throw it to you first here. It's one of the more prominent Cardano developers. They warned that the testnet, this is his words, catastrophically broken due to a recently discovered bug. Now, there's a lot of people, the validators, the SPOs, they're doing different upgrades. I think it's 135.2 and 135.3, if I'm not mistaken. So we don't have everybody on the same page here. It's a lot of FUD. We got IOHK leader Charles Hoskinson. He's saying, I don't understand why everyone's so mad at me. We are very decentralized. I am not in control of the entire Cardano network. We need to get these SPO operators. They are the ones who need to upgrade. We are trying to communicate this out. It says only roughly 14% of the people running those have so far upgraded to the correct node. Now, mind your biz, as far as we understand, this vulnerability actually ended up leading to, they're testing everything on what they call a testnet. And then this vulnerability actually led to a 2-year history of this testnet being completely wiped out. We have this dev saying it's completely catastrophic. Where's the truth at? Where are we? Some people are saying it's not that big a deal. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. Some are saying, no, this is a very big deal. where's the truth lie? What's the Mind Your Biz take on, you know, this Cardano upgrade? Should we worry? As a Cardano fan myself, should I be worried?
Well, I appreciate you asking my opinion on this, on the topic. The first things first, software is difficult. And you don't have to be a Cardano maxi or even a look favorably upon Cardano to just acknowledge that software is difficult. These things take time to integrate new network updates, and DevOps is, well, it's the sort of thing that a lot of software developers, a lot of programmers, that they choose to sort of defer to somebody else if they can, because even just deploying your code into the cloud or deploying your code on a distributed cloud network, even if you own it, right, with your own hardware, just deploying code is a very challenging thing. So my heart goes out to anybody who's been implicated as like being at fault for something not going right here. We've seen problems like this, DZ, on the Ethereum network. And I think we talked about this once before, that, and pardon me for slaughtering the timeline, but it was about 14 months ago, if I'm not mistaken, that the death version that was supposed to be run on Ethereum was not updated at the same time by the entire validator network. And that caused outages for some people. So people were logging into their MetaMask, expecting for things to behave a certain way, and they didn't. So all this is to say that the incumbent right now in the smart contract space, the thing that everybody says they're trying to kill or dethrone, none of this is perfect, right? It's really difficult to get these high throughput and highly complex systems to run at the same time. Even though they're distributed and decentralized, that's in part the challenge, right? So Charles Hoskinson going on record and saying, hey, I don't operate every node. I don't decide who's going to update. I think he's totally justified in responding that way. That said, I think some of the criticisms are valid as well. And I think the fact that a 2-year chain state was lost did show a certain, I think the word is a lackadaisical approach to deciding how to stage these new updates. There are some best practices for staging your updates when deploying code into the cloud. That's why DevOps professionals exist in the so-called traditional cloud and programming ecosystem, and that's why we pay them so much when we get specialists in those job designations for DevOps, is because the cost of deploying code incorrectly just in a traditional environment is pretty high. The cost of deploying code incorrectly in blockchain, well, we just discovered what one of those costs could be. Thankfully, it was a test net. This isn't like, 2 years of mainnet history lost. But could you imagine having 2 years of blockchain history totally deleted overnight from just having this code deployed incorrectly? Clearly, there needs to be a better standard for how these network updates are deployed on both the preview network and then the pre-production network. And I think that's where the criticisms come in. It's not just that there is one giant monolithic test net, but there needs to be various stages where this is rolled out so that we know for sure, okay, baby steps towards full production into the full mainnet, so that nobody who's ever using mainnet ever has to worry about losing 2 years of transaction history. So yeah, I can see it from both sides, but there's always room for improvement.
Oh, I would definitely say that. Now, Johnny, I want to talk to you about the Cardano community as a whole. Do you think the Cardano community is okay with this slow and steady approach? A lot of, I don't want to say a lot of delays, but for blockchain, average amount of delays, I should really say, but delay after delay. Test nets going down. People are saying this is a huge vulnerability. Dude. I don't know if you can still hear me, but do you think that Cardano will shrug this off, or is this going to be enough to maybe get some people to jump to, dare I say it, Solana?
All right. Well, now that I'm having even more technical difficulties, I want to say that Mind Your Biz is incredibly intelligent on.
Oh no!
No, you know what?
Crap. Sorry, I live in Arizona and it is 105 right now, so my camera went out here. But as far as the Cardano community goes, I say that they are for waiting, because Ethereum, it's worked for them. Waiting in the long term, they want to have something that's usable and works. Cardano is actually my third biggest holding. And truthfully, if I'm going to say some sort of a conspiracy theory, I think maybe there's a lot of pressure for them to try to beat as far as they get their complete hard fork finished before Ethereum, because they've been trying to catch up to Ethereum for a long time. And what better way than it is to beat them with the hard fork going here. But to DZ, answering your question, I think investors are willing to wait to have something worth that's usable, essentially.
Yeah, that's interesting because crypto can breed impatience, but that Cardano community, they seem a little patient. Now, Sin City Crypto, we're kind of talking about investors. Kind of want to talk to you about the devs, the app developers. I was looking at some of their numbers. They have about 5 dApps a day being created on Cardano. Currently, over 3,000 smart contracts since the start of August alone have been created. Do you think this is enough for the devs to feel a little hesitancy? Are they starting to maybe, hey, we have infighting, Charles Hoskinson speaking against people, we have people saying it's a catastrophe. Is that enough for the devs to maybe take a step back because they're the ones in the trenches?
No, I think a lot of people are overreacting to this news here and blowing it way out of proportion. This is a test net. If anything, this should be a learning experience for other chains that perhaps don't run test nets or don't run enough of them or don't run them at don't run enough of them throughout their beta stages. And so it's just more conviction to what they're doing. And if you zoom out and you look at the other projects like perhaps Solana, I know there's probably a lot of Solana homers in here, but they've had launch it and then fix it when it breaks. Same thing with some of the Ethereum in the past. But I think they're fine. I think people are overreacting. If you look at the Cardano community, well, here's a good tweet. So this is from Charles Hoskinson. So he retweeted, this is a Cardano community. IOG takes way too long to make changes. Also, Cardano community. Hold up. Why is IOG rushing Vassal? And then there's the meme of the blinking face down here. So, you're getting people that are impatient, and technology takes a while to evolve. I mean, if you take a look at any software, even if it's outside of the blockchain space, if you take a look at how long it takes to develop the Windows platform that we use now, every time there's an upgrade or an update, people are hesitant to get on it because there's going to be tons of bugs associated with it. Hence the reason nobody downloads Windows 11. But the fact that they are sticking to the course as far as putting down a blueprint, putting down a roadmap, following the test net, going back and restructuring if something breaks. Just think of a train, a moving train, and somebody's laying the tracks in front of it. Everybody wants to blame Charles Hoskinson, but he's just literally laying the tracks, or he's laying the roadmap, and the train itself, you don't know how many stops it's going to have. You don't know how fast it's going to go. You don't know how slow it's going to go, but the train itself is moving to its path, is going to its final destination. And Charles Hoskinson is simply laying out the roadmap. He can't control anything that's going on the train. He can only just help on its development. So,
all right, Taco, a couple questions here. One real quick one. I want to ask you, do you think anyone's actually selling Cardano from this news? And secondly, what do you think about the dev going to Twitter? He went to instead of going to the streets, he went to the tweets, and he's publicly airing. Should that have been handled internally, do you think?
So your first question, Bitcoin dropped today about 8%. Typically, it is 100% normal for the rest of the market to follow. So this on top of the Bitcoin price going down, it might have added maybe 2-3%. But I feel like on a normal day in crypto, maybe we're going sideways. This is just a nothing burger. I mean, it's a test net, people. They got to test it. And if it breaks, they fix it. I mean, developers and Charles Hoskinson, obviously he's like the figurehead. He's not in the trenches developing this stuff. I'm sure at one point he was, but now it's up to the community, and it's as decentralized as it can be. So they just have to come to consensus and probably like grow up a little bit, be like, hey, like this is testnet. This guy kind of went crazy on Twitter. He didn't kind of talk to his team beforehand. Maybe a marketing person should have stepped in and been like, maybe the word catastrophic is a little too, I don't know, bad to use on Twitter about a whole entire blockchain. So that part, he definitely could have done better. He could have consulted with his team and actually went about it a better way, a better message to the community.
All right, and I just want to end on this. That was actually a pretty good call. You said it added probably about 2-3%. We can see all its peers, they fell about 10-11%. But then XRP, Solana, Doge, Polkadot, everything fell about 10-11%. Cardano, about 2-3% extra. So that's a good point. Johnny, did you want to jump in real quick?
I just want to say, do you guys think that at all? Do you think that this might have been sort of an inside leak with like a smear campaign because of the whole merge with Ethereum coming here in a month? You know, the best way to destroy
I wouldn't say
something
smear or
from
inside, but I will say Solana maxis and ETH maxis, they're definitely retweeting the heck out of that. And so, yeah, they're definitely adding fuel to the fires. Little projection there.
Yeah, let me jump in and just say that nobody who's intellectually honest is going to try to dance on the grave of their competitor like that. Seriously, I mean, and you guys know I'm not like some Cardano maxi. I'm not like some guy who's all in on Cardano. But I'm not gonna go and try to kick them while they're down. Like, this stuff is just hard.
All right, yeah, I would agree. All right, let's
Tron,
end it.
Tron Network. Justin's son likes to poke at people. I don't know. That's one example of a chain.
Well, you get to do that when you sell ETH at the
business,
top.
and politics are a big part of business. I'm just saying, you know, and Ethereum is kind of incredibly centralized when it comes to, you know, its layer one solution. So like, I don't know. I've got the whole conspiracy theory here, but that's just me here. So DZ, you take the show.
Well, I was just going to say, you know, Just Son, he did sell, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, $1.5 billion worth of ETH at 4,500. So, you know, he gets a little bit of a pass here and there. Justin, I'm still waiting for you to jump back in so I can buy more ETH. All right, let's talk a little Bored Ape, and there was a little bit of a crisis here. They are using their NFTs as collateral to take out loans in Ethereum, and then using that you get about 40%. So if a Bored Ape floor price was 100 ETH, you would give it as collateral. They would let you borrow 40 ETH. If that floor price comes down to within 10% of that 44 ETH, they will liquidate your NFT. Now, you do have about 48 hours to pay off the loan and get your NFT asset back, but it will trigger a liquidation event, and after the 48 hours, it goes up for sale, and they won't take less than 95% from floor price. But if you have a gold fur ape, a gold tooth ape, one of the rare apes, laser eye apes, selling at floor would be very, very easy, at least at these prices. Now, maybe we, let's see. I'm gonna bring it to you, Taco, first. You got the ape hat. You don't have it on today. What do you think the end result of this is going to be? Are we just looking at a maybe 5-10 ETH dip, and then we recover and we pretend this never happened 6 months from now? Or is this going to really be a catastrophic event, 50% price reduction, 80, even 90% price reduction?
Yeah, I've been kind of following this the last few days. I don't know if the audience knows one of the biggest whales of the Bored Ape Yacht Club community is Franklin has, and then he puts the amount of apes he has on his Twitter handle. So he's been doing this for a long time. I think he's been able to borrow over 10,000 Ethereum and has only paid 9 ETH in interest. So that's under 1%. And he owes 0 on all that. So he's been doing it the right way. But for people who are taking advantage of this, not able to cover they're pretty much buy their Bored Ape back, their apes are probably going to get scooped up by people like Franklin who has all this ETH on hand, and he's been flipping, and he's probably, I was talking to the guys earlier, he's probably like one of the best NFT traders that I ever known, and I would consider him probably like a savant when it comes to this stuff. So it could turn out bad, but if you got these whales coming in scooping these cheap Bored Apes, it could be nothing.
Okay, now Sin City, I'm gonna land on that there. Do you think the whales will come in and quote unquote save the day? Are there some pop stars and rappers like, I've kind of wanted a Bored Ape, or maybe even traditional brands? I think Yum Brands, and we're seeing it all over the place. Happy Dad, I think they just made a beef jerky line, and we're seeing more and more apes integrated. Are the big money institutional players going to come in and start scooping some of these up? Are they going to be maybe a little alarm and miss the boat and then FOMO in at the top like usual?
No, I don't think they're going to come in with capes on like Captain Save-A-Ho, but I do think that they are going to I do think they might unintentionally come in and protect a pretty close floor price from where the liquidation point is. And now, you could see a bunch of people lining up, all kinds of sniping going on, trying to pick up these cheap apes. So they are in demand. I know the NFT market is substantially down, but what is still holding pretty strong is the Bored Apes. They were at the height of it was I think 155 Ethereum. So it hasn't had quite as a dramatic pullback as everything else. I kind of consider it the Bitcoin of the NFT sector. To get a little bit further in depth in NFT, this space is evolving. You're starting to see the same liquidation effects that you get in crypto in the NFT sector as well. So I don't think a lot of people really imagine this even being a thing or a possibility during the beginning or the run-up of NFTs, but it just shows you the power and the flexibility of this ecosystem. And with everything that is beneficial and good, there's always a polar opposite. So all the good things that come from borrowing and lending and taking utility out of just your base NFT, there are also polar opposites and things that can go negatively. One last thing on NFTs, I do want to say that here in Vegas, where the home of Sin City Crypto, we are hosting the NFT convention 1 week from today, NFT and Metaverse. And we are glad to have any conventions here. We are home of conventions here in Las Vegas, also hosted by J-Chains, the Hit Network's meta money favorite here.
One of our MCs.
So if you guys are in Vegas, we're excited. If you're in Vegas, come hang out with us. Come hang out at the Metaverse.
Yeah, I'll be there in October. See NFT Con. All right. Now, Johnny, let's land on the Bored Ape being the Bitcoin of NFTs. What do you think of that narrative? Is that a succinct narrative? There's 21 million Bitcoin eventually. 20 includes Satoshi's wallet. There's only going to be 10,000 apes. Is that a fair assessment, or are they actually even maybe better than a Bitcoin?
You guys, okay, I've been on the show enough to you guys know that NFTs to me are in their infancy, and so real world use case, I'm not like a huge fan. I think they're incredibly expensive, and yeah, they're rare, but they haven't been around as long as Bitcoin has. So we'll see what happens. And what's going on now is just a supply and demand deal. I think people that are leveraging against their apes, their NFTs right now, it's not the best time, because you do that in a bull market when things are just pumping and pumping and pumping. What do you think is going to happen when things are tanking? Are they going to try to keep their Bitcoin, or are they going to try to keep their NFTs? They're probably going to try to keep their Bitcoin rather than their NFTs. So I think a lot of people are getting in trouble with this is because they're leveraging too much. You don't have to. If you have your analysis there, you don't have to leverage and take as much as 40% of the Ethereum. You don't have to take all of it at once. You could take 10%. So your liquidation is going to be, you're never going to lose that NFT. I think this is irresponsible by a bunch of people. Banks have been making these systems forever. Like my brokerage account, I can borrow up to 60% of my brokerage account too, except for it's not going to go down as quickly because it's in a market that has been sustained for 100 years rather than NFTs that have been around for, 3 years, 2.5, So I'm not a huge fan of NFTs, but answering your question, because I know I'm digressing, DZ, is a Bored Ape is definitely the Bitcoin. It's the one to own for all NFTs because it's limited and it's expensive. Right now it's losing value, but only time will tell what this industry turns into. I do think, NFTs have a place, like with what Facebook is doing with the whole metaverse. I think the metaverse is going to be the way people do business and transact and share stuff. Will the apes and the punks still be around? I don't know.
All right. Well, I just got word from your broker. He said you're over-levered on Bed Bath & Beyond. So it did fall more than 40%, unfortunately, there. But all right, speaking of over-levered, mind your biz just like his traps are. Do you think this is the end of leveraging NFTs, at least at these rates? Because 40%, if it falls down 60%, it leads to a liquidation event. Are they going to have to retool these numbers? Or is this, if this event may be going to keep most people away where it's just not going to be a viable product anymore?
That's a phenomenal question, man. I think Anchor Protocol taught us one thing, and that is that we need to retool all of the collateralized debt positions of every asset in this space, right? Like everything that we thought was a decent bet for collateralization ratios, everything that we thought was sound economic input in terms of how we're going to create these new instruments. We need to revisit all of it. What I love about what Johnny just said is that these some of these more traditional investments, like you got 100 years of precedent for what this growth curve is going to look like. You don't have the volatility or the potential upside that you do in cryptos, but you also don't have that, like the potentially catastrophic downside. Why don't we borrow that word from the ADA article and apply it to like the current collateralized debt positions that we have everywhere, right? So I think that with this particular case, with the Bored Apes and with the, I guess, is it Bend DAO that's offering the liquidity for these Bored Apes, I don't think it's going to come to that. I really don't. I think that with the current climate, I think that new investors, people who want to come in and scalp, may be looking for a better deal than what they'll get on Bend DAO. So yeah, when it comes to leverage though, DZ, back to your main point, I don't think we're going to see a death spiral. Personally, I don't think we're going to see some kind of a death spiral, because I think that way too many investors are considering, they're going to hold out to see if they can get a better price than what this current platform has to offer. So, I mean, maybe I'm naive, but I'm not with Bored Apes, I'm not seeing it.
Okay, and I just want to read the super chat real quick. When a doctor doctors a doctor, does the doctor doing the doctoring? Doctor as the doctor being doctored wants to be doctored, or does the doctor doing the doctor as he wants to doctor? Spend $20. I figured it's at least worth me reading that. All right, that is all we have time for, and it looks like Sin City Crypto is the winner. But first, actually, I had your YouTube pulled up. Can we share this real quick, BJ? Look at this number of subs, 2,580. People, what are you doing? Go there right now. Go there right now. I want to see that at least in the threes when he comes back next as a guest. This is criminally undervalued. So
look at that 1 minute interview. Yeah, I couldn't even get 5 minutes with him, but he gave us a minute. Sailor gave us a minute. Go watch our 1 minute interview with Sailor.
Yeah. All right. Sin City, you got the floor. Take it away. Leave us with some parting thoughts.
All right. Well, thank you so much, DZ. Thank you so much, the Hit Network and the Bit Squad. You guys, we just came back from Atlanta. Hospitality is amazing. The staff underneath Ben, everybody there is a straight G.
We're all amazing. Taller than Ben.
If you guys,
we're all taller than Ben.
If you guys haven't, if you guys haven't seen our live stream, we do a live stream Monday through Friday. I got a co-host, David. We do a really amazing show. We got some big things in the works. If you haven't, come check us out. We'd like to have a party and have a blast, have fun, and throw some crypto content your way as well. So thanks again, guys.
Hey, that was great. That is all we got time for today. And until next time, Bit Squad, I'm under Ben here. Easy out.